welcome, Emergent. Glad you're here. You get to meet my friend Bret, and we're going to have so much fun today. Bret, tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and we'll kick off from there.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Bret. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, with my wife and our dog G, 2 or 3 year old pit bull. He was adopted. He just kind of showed up on our doorstep and chose us as home, so we still got him. And I work for the Phoenix Suns. Actually just celebrated my 10th anniversary with the Suns. And my specific role now is the head coach of our G League team, which is the minor league affiliate of the NBA club.
Very cool. You've got all of this crazy, wild experience, I know, at different levels of the organization that I've been able to hear about from you. I think it'd be fun to debunk what people think of as, ooh, the NBA and the sexiness of it. What would you tell somebody that would just take them down to the street level about that? And we'll also talk about the cool.
Yeah. Well, from the G League perspective, there's nothing really sexy about it. It's commercial flights, connecting flights to places like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and Des Moines, Iowa, and Kenton, Ohio. It's bus rides and, shared hotel rooms and empty stadiums. So in the G League, we're roughing it. It's minor leagues, and they're testing your will. It's trying to see how bad you really want it. So the G League is normal living for a lot of people.
Normal living. Yeah. That sounds worse, in the sense of I don't want to travel, and especially right now, unless it's amazing. But no, what would be something though that you would say, okay, that's truth, what I just said, but this is pretty cool?
Well, it is cool to be working with just elite level athletes, from the NBA level, where you're talking about the Devin Bookers, DeAndre Aytons, the top 1%, and then even in the G League, which, like, it's no slouch. There's really good players there, players that have had successful careers in college or overseas, or even have been in the NBA and are now trying to get back to the NBA. So it's cool to work with a group of people who are just so driven and so focused on one pursuit. And you're working with a high level of person there. So that is a cool thing, aside from like the sexiness of the big arenas when you get to the NBA level, and the charter flights and the free food. That's there too.
Well, this made me think of something that you told me your dad said, and maybe just for everybody, a little bit of context on your dad as a coach in his career, and then what he said watching the G League players play.
Yeah. So my dad was a college coach. He just recently retired, but coached at a small college in Missouri for 31 years. Built a dynasty, name on the court, Hall of Fames, all the good stuff. But he came out and watched one of our games this past year, and after the game, he was like, "Man, every single guy on the court can make a shot." And he saw a span of 2 or 3 games, and I think probably in those 3 games, 2 or 3 times someone hit a 3/4 court shot at the buzzer. He's like, "Mike, like, you have to guard somebody all the time, because every one of them can make a shot." And just the level of ability in the NBA and in the G League is off the charts.
So for those young professionals watching this that have those same dreams and aspirations that I have as a middle-aged man, that are like, I think I'm going to try out, you would say, hey, you better have a really good game to back that up.
You know what? Come on out. We got a tryout that happens twice a year right before the season. It's $150. We'll take your money and give it your best shot.
Dude, I want to, man, somehow, some way. I know we've joked about that. That would be so much fun. So for the people that are watching this, I mean, you're working with a person who's already very passionate about their craft. They're trying to be the best in the world. They already are at an upper echelon level.
Yeah.
When you start trying to help them with their mindset, I know you do a lot of work around resiliency. what's the first like tension that exists in the resilient mindset that you've got to get them to understand if they're really going to go as far as they can? And maybe before that, what's the importance of even having an attention to a mindset?
Yeah, well, you're talking about the top 1% here. And when you get to this level, the separation amongst abilities, obviously some can shoot better than others. Some are faster than others. Some can dribble better than others. There's obviously some skill differences, but the real difference between their abilities, there's not a huge separation. And when you're talking about people who've made it this far that are trying to go farther, they're looking to tap into a new dimension that they haven't maybe worked on yet. And for a lot of these guys, mindset can be that next level of growth for them. And the resilient mindset is it is a foundation. It's a bedrock for building the rest of your mindset and your abilities on. And I think when you're thinking about resilient mindset and trying to overcome obstacles, and it's more first like, can you keep going? You're gonna face adversity. You're gonna face hard things. Are you able to keep going and keep moving forward, keep standing? Once you've hit the wall, once you've found a way that doesn't work, once you've found 10 ways that don't work, can you keep standing and keep finding new ways? And I think that is the bedrock of the resilient mindset is, regardless of what happens, your results, your outcomes, can you just keep showing up the next day?
Mm-hmm. This makes me think of, that player that says, once I get in the NBA, then it'll all be fine. That's the thing that I got to make happen. Is that a resilient mindset? Yes, no, why not?
Well, it's a faulty mindset. I think once you get there, like you're expecting results, outcomes to make you feel whole, to make you feel satisfied, and it doesn't work. I worked with a guy before I was the G League head coach. I was doing player development for the NBA club, the Phoenix Suns, and my responsibility was working with the guys towards the end of the roster, guys on 10-day contracts or non-guaranteed contracts. And I worked with a player who had to go to the gym every single day. We did a 100-shot routine. Even on game days, pregame, we're doing a 100-shot routine for the entire season. And by the end of the year, he had worked so hard, he's urinating blood. Like he had pushed himself that far. And it's this who you're talking about, the guy who made the NBA, but he's not satisfied. He's afraid of being left out of the NBA. And he pushed himself so hard, and he was a good player and had great work ethic, but it was a faulty mindset. And he's out of the league now, but the thing he needed was to relax and be like, I'll be okay. I'm in the NBA. I'm going to work hard, but I'll be okay regardless of the circumstances. He was trying to comfort that pain with just working really, really hard. So what you're talking about, is when I get to the NBA, everything will be fine. That's not true. It's not true. You're looking for results, for outcomes, for circumstances to comfort any, fear, insecurity you have. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So really what looks like a resilient mindset, and I have read some of your writing where you use the word brittle. It's instead brittle because you're going to get there and then something else happens. Like you're saying, I can imagine the young professionals that might be watching this that are in a place that they've approached their career that way, that they've said, hey, once I get there, then I can start coasting or whatever. Easy to see that application. But what I would wonder about is how that might apply to even you, because you started out young in the NBA and have nurtured and built a career over time. Have you ever fallen into that trap before where you've thought, well, I'll get here and then that will be okay?
Yeah. And my wife cautions me on it all the time, which is great. But I've been in Phoenix for 10 years now, and anyone who's followed the NBA at all knows we've gone through 7 head coaches and 3 general managers, a lot of leadership changes, and I've survived them all. And it's not to pat myself on the back, but it's speaking to the idea of resiliency. Can you keep showing up every day? And I think there's this interesting dichotomy in resilient mindset. And some people will say, resilient mindset is you can't stop me, and I'm going to power through. I'm going to stubbornly run through walls even when things aren't working right, or I'm going to jump up and die on every hill out of pride or ego. When I think the real resilient mindset, the true resilient mindset, is you can't make me quit. I'll keep showing up I may have to adjust. My way might not work, and I need to find a new way to keep going. But I'm going to keep showing up, and I'm going to keep moving forward, and I'll find ways to move forward. And I think that's probably something that's paid off for me over 10 years, is recognizing the situation you're in, recognizing the obstacles that might be in your way, assessing what's not working, what is working, and adjusting as necessary. But it's not a prideful thing where you're saying, like, I'm going to win this battle right now in front of me. It's long-term view. I'm going to win the war. And how do I keep going? And that starts with the resilient mindset.
Where right now for you are you learning a pattern about building a resilient mindset, or one that you already know it's being affirmed? So this is kind of like fresh learning for you, or deeper fresh learning for you?
Yeah. I think I guess the pattern or the process I go through just in my own mind is first waking up every day to be honest and like assess reality in an honest way, knowing where are we trying to get to, what's working, what's not working, what might work in the current circumstances we're in. And then moving that to like being willing to give up things that aren't working, being willing to quit if I need to adjust in a new way, and then finding new processes to move forward, and then committing to those. Can you commit day after day, consistently show up, and keep moving things forward one step at a time? And I guess that's the kind of process I've been moving towards. And then you're constantly reevaluating. You wake up again, and not to change everything every day, but to stay aware and stay, tuning to the current reality.
What right now do you think, if you were to speak into people that were at a younger place in their career, really early on, like you were when you first started out, what were some things that you did that you felt like were strengths and really smart, that if you went back and did the first few years over, you'd make sure to do this again?
I think what was really successful for me early was to gain a lot of experience, and that's to get involved in a lot of different areas. I knew I wanted to go into sports. I knew my dad was a coach. I grew up around it, whether it was like in communications or, event management or coaching. I knew in some realm I was going to be into sports. And so I just started diving into every situation I could that involved sports and sports management and coaching, whether it was camps or events or whatever that might be. And I guess early on I said yes a lot. Sometimes we're instructed to say no more often, but early on I said yes a lot. And it gave me a lot of experience, a wide ranging of experience to draw from. And then as I moved later in my career, was able to narrow the focus and start saying no more often.
Yeah, that's such a path, isn't it? I mean, yeah, I'm looking back at all the things I said yes to that I would never want to say yes to, but I was so glad I did at the time. I mean,
Yeah.
part of the way that when I was like 23, 24, 25, getting a ton of experience, and I did. I got in a 7 to 10 year run, I got multiple decades of experience because I led some organizations in crisis. I said yes to everything, and I started developing a lot of skills that I didn't have. Now I can also look back and go, oh my gosh, I would do some of this different. What for you would you look back and do a little different?
Yeah, you messed up some of those things, right? You're also like, all that experience is paid off now. So when we're talking about like find ways to keep moving forward, find new solutions, well, you can tap into those experiences that don't seem relevant, but there actually were real good truths in there that you could apply to this moment. And so all that stuff pays off, especially when you're young and starting out. That is the time to develop a wide range of experience, because those are going to be the creative solutions you tap into later, and the skill sets you develop on the process. The question you ask comes up a lot, like, what would you do over, or what would you do differently? And we probably all can say that about everything we've done, because we're constantly growing and evolving and learning. And so I think one thing I would do differently if I started it over is I wouldn't be so shy to try. That's kind of a catchy term, isn't it? Wouldn't be so shy to try. Like, experiment, try. You're not going to be perfect the first time you do it, but you will learn because you did it. And those experiences will pay off down the road. And so I think that's probably what I was probably early on, I was hesitant to really step out and try something risky or put myself out there. Why I said yes a lot of places, most of them were safe and comfortable. And so I might put myself out there a little more in places that were more risky, not waiting to see if I had the right answer before I tried to give an answer, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm moved by that. And I imagine there's a lot of people watching that would be, if you just like took a minute and spoke directly to that person that's sitting in the meeting and is like, I might speak up, but I won't, I might. And then somebody says something like they were going to say, and they're like, yeah, I knew it. Everybody, I don't really have anything to offer. If you just spoke like direct to them, how would you encourage them?
That's me. That's what I do. Like, I sit there in the meeting and I don't speak up because I don't think what I have to say really matters or is right, or maybe it's too off the wall. And then someone else says what I was going to say. Like, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, give it, like, share it, put it out in the world. You might not be exactly right, but there's part of it that can work, and it's contributed to the team. It's contributed to the group, and then the group is going to take your part and make it better. You don't have to be the right answer. You don't have to be all of the right answer, but something that you contribute along with the rest of the group is going to bring it all together. I just think you can find courage in, don't withhold your gifts, your unique approach to it, or your unique perspective. There's a reason you're at the table. And so you might as well participate. I've kind of lived off this mantra for the last 5 or 6 years was be a participant, not a spectator. It's more fun. It's more fun to participate than to sit back, spectate, and then criticize later.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And, I think I would add to that, now more than ever, you've got to speak up, because not in a fear-based way, but just in a reality-based way. The employment scenario is going to be changing, and you really got to put your value out there. You've got to let them know that you've got ideas and you're willing to risk. And I love the way that you said it. You don't have to be all of the answer. You don't have to be the whole answer. You can just be some of the answer.
Yeah.
And that pressure that we feel to be comprehensive, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched the show The Mandalorian. It was like, this is the way. Like everything we say in a meeting is going to have that kind of impact, clarity, fullness, and weight. And instead, no, just offer what you got. That's great.
And I think part of that, Chris, is you don't have to be the only answer. You know, I sometimes feel crowded out when there's other people saying similar things to me, and that's okay. Like there will be, if you're speaking truth, there hopefully is a lot of people speaking that truth. So again, participate, be a part of it.
Yeah, you don't have to be the only answer. Well, how would you, if you just took a minute to speak to everyone, what's a way that they could take themselves through some kind of exercise, something street level, practical, to really see where their mindset might be weak or develop it and grow it, or both of those, whatever you want to do?
Yeah. So in sports, sports psychology is a growing endeavor, growing field. And a lot of people are using like visualization, imagination techniques. And it's funny to me because they always imagine, or they always lead you to imagine the gold medal performance, right? The perfect routine. Like, let's see it before it ever happens. We had a player, if I told you his name and you're a Kentucky basketball fan, you would know it, but we had him come in for a pre-draft workout. And he was very into like mindfulness, meditation, this thing. He had a terrible workout for us. He couldn't make a shot. He was getting really frustrated, and it's a nervous situation. You got a lot of people like watching you and evaluating, critiquing. He's the only guy on the court. And so it's already like a nerve-wracking situation. He had a terrible workout. And we talked to him afterwards, and he was like, yeah, I imagined this workout already, but that's not how I saw it going. I imagined it going perfect. Like I saw myself making every shot. And you know, we have these visualization cues to imagine it going well, but we also know that we will hit adversity. That's a truth everyone agrees with. And we know that overcoming adversity will grow us, or going through adversity will grow us. So why do we pretend like, or prepare like adversity will never happen? So one thing I do every morning is just to think about the day, what might go wrong? And will I be okay if it does? Or how might it grow me if it does? And so imagining both sides of those scenarios, not just it going great, but if it goes wrong, if I fail, if I say the wrong thing, if people don't believe me, who am I? What's going to happen to me? Will I be able to show up the next day? Will I grow from it? And just that constant reminder develops resiliency just in your approach.
Mental conditioning. I love it. That was speaking to me, you know, in these crazy times. Went on a ride with my girls last night. They're getting more driving time. And so my oldest was driving. And one of the brakes, I just got the brakes done, like, you know, 4 months ago. One of the brakes is making a little noise. I smelled it. And it's, you know, like, is it burning? Oh my gosh. I don't want to make a brakes appointment. And really quick, I recognized how rigid I got because I was so attached to, I'm not going to have a car problem. Rather than what you're talking about, this conditioning where you go, okay, good or bad. We know both of these happen. I can roll with it and keep growing. What a gift, man. Well, Bret, for those that are listening and they're like, I need to learn more, where would you like them to go? How can they connect with you? Where would you point them to?
Yeah, so in addition to my work with the Phoenix Suns, I do work with SightShift Athletes, and it's sightshiftathletes.com, SIGHT shiftathletes.com. And that's a great spot for more resources. We focus on helping people remove distractions and relax with pressure.
And I love the way that you, you know, live that and teach it, relax with the intensity of the pressure. Those things roll around in my head and heart, and hopefully people can get more, and then you can help them with their mindset work. And so thanks for being here. and contributing to people's journeys, helping them grow and develop. Such a privilege to have you, Bret. Peace out, man.
Thanks for having me. It's fun to share.